opening should catch our attention. The body of her speech must support the idea that she's conveying, and the conclusion should reinforce her ideas and also be memorable. Transitions between thoughts should be smooth. I welcome Kindall Nelson to the podium.
If you could travel back in time and talk to your 21-year-old self, what would you say? Nobody else in the room even flinched, and while it was probably a full second and a half, it felt like it took days for the tabletop Toastmasters to see me slipping my hand up to volunteer. Everyone clapped as I walked towards the front of the office. To the left, 17 men and women in business attire, mostly from the investment company, Wilshire Associates. They were all sitting at a conference table. And to my right, floor-to-ceiling windows with an amazing view of the Pacific Ocean. I could see the beach for miles, both directions, and the ocean all the way to the horizon. Just a beautiful blue. I definitely knew by the time I left that meeting where I was going that afternoon. And I did. I went and picked up the kids and we went to the beach. Because parking and getting into their building with a lot of security was tricky, I ran late and hadn't had a chance to talk to anyone before the meeting. So before my table topics, I quickly introduced myself as VP PR of Prairieland Toastmasters from Peoria, Illinois, and told them I was in town for 2 weeks and decided that I wanted to visit as many Toastmasters meetings as I could in the area. And then I started. If I could travel back in time and talk to my 21-year-old self, I would tell myself a lot of things, but what I wouldn't do is warn myself about my mistakes. My biggest life lessons and biggest wins have come from my mistakes, and I don't know who I would be without them. I would, however, tell myself that I'm stronger than I think I am, smarter than I think I am, and that if I just keep moving forward and keep keeping my chin up, eventually I will get to a life that is pretty amazing. And I waited. I spoke as I finished my speech. I spoke more and more slowly, waiting for the timer to, they use a card system, waiting for the timer to put the green card. My speech ended up being 1 minute and 1 second. In retrospect, there were a lot of things that I could have said as well, but really, I was more in awe of myself about what I had just done. It felt great. I spoke in front of complete strangers, and there are people that I never would have met without Toastmasters. There are a lot of reasons that I would encourage fellow Toastmasters to visit a meeting away from home, but I have 5 to go through today, to share with you today. So first of all, a Toastmasters meeting among complete strangers is great practice. Who cares if you mess up? As much as I would like to believe that I made a lasting impact with my speeches, chances are most of those people who I spoke in front of in the 5 meetings that I went to while I was in California wouldn't remember who I was if you asked them, do you remember when Kindall was speaking here? And they definitely aren't thinking about how many times I said So, second, I learned a lot about the different ways different Toastmasters clubs do things. That club had actually decided to have an all-table topics day, which was something that I hadn't experienced before, and it seemed like something that was typical for them. That was what they were working on, was speaking on your feet, basically. I learned that a lot of clubs vote on the best of at each meeting, the best speech, the best evaluator. One club even had best functionary role, which turned into a great speech. Somebody gave a speech on the underdog, the timer, and why you should vote for the timer as best functionary role. Of the 5 clubs that I visited, no 2 did things exactly alike. Even though they all followed the general outline of the meeting, there was one thing that really, so even though they all followed the general outline, everybody was a little bit different. But there was one thing about 4 of the 5 meetings that I went to that really surprised me, and that was this. They didn't use a podium at all. They had one, everybody had one available, off to the side, and in one of those meetings, somebody did grab it and use it for a speech. However, most of the time it wasn't used, and it made me think about how it can be used as a crutch, and I myself, it never occurred to me not to use it, so from the very beginning, I used it. So I just thought that was really interesting. Another one of the things that, another one of the reasons that you would want to visit a Toastmasters meeting is to be challenged by the other Toastmasters. Another thing was that I saw 3 icebreaker speeches while I was in California, and none of them used notes. And now, after you saw what I just did with the podium, it would be really cool if I could like turn my phone around and show you a blank page. I was doing this all from memory, but I'm not there yet. So it's something to challenge myself for in the future. One thing that I got from these Toastmasters meetings, and another reason I encourage people to go, is an opportunity to connect. While overall, most of the people will not remember that I was there, there was one Toastmasters meeting where they only had 2 speakers and one was sick, and they had a visitor from the district visiting, and they asked if anybody had a speech, and I had just given my What Toastmasters Had Done For Me speech here the week before, so I actually gave that speech to them. From there, one of the other members of that group asked me to join her at a networking meeting for businesses the next day, and from there I was invited to 2 other meetings, all business networking meetings. It was just really neat. From that one speech alone, I met 35 professionals, all from the Santa Monica area, where I'm planning my business. So the last and most important reason you should visit a Toastmasters meeting on vacation is that you will come away with a feeling of accomplishment at challenging yourself and following through. The next time you're on vacation and trying to think of something to do, interesting to do, pull up the Toastmasters website and click on the Toastmasters Club Near Me button, and